Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the ETVT podcast, where you're free to build your perception from an infinite world of possibilities. I'm your host, Elijah Vargas. You said so many things and you described in great detail that I have spent episodes and put little pieces in to try to describe. But I will fully admit that I just can't. So I'm really glad you did that because I recognize that that's what I meant by the facade. And you told me one time it's like you should probably work on your vocabulary. And I agree for that very reason, because there's so many things that you can tell when somebody can has the vision and feels it and sees it, but just doesn't know how to execute or describe it. So you are right. And for me, I think because I'm kind of that middleman, I can explain that to my younger listeners for who may have heard it. But that happens to me is I'll hear things and I'm like, I understand it, but I don't know why I understand it. Where there definitely is a facade, a something that's put out there that's not real. What you just did was you unpacked that. It really is as complex as it seems, and as complex as it is, it's complex, but it's simple at the same time.
How we got there is complex and has many layers. How we dial it back does not, for sure.
100%. And I feel like so many people know that, but maybe it's intimidating. Maybe they're afraid to sleep in their car. Maybe they don't want to be looked at. Here's one thing I've noticed, and you hit on this. My mind was going in, and I think about this when I'm driving. You saw how much traffic has come up in Huntsville, right?
Yes.
So sometimes I look and you see the college kids that got the nice BMW or the nice Mercedes or the nice whatever. There's people in this apartment, I hear people around all the time. They're struggling and things or whatever. Obviously, things aren't going well. But then it's like, but why do you have a Gucci shirt? Why do you have a nice chain? Why do you have a nice car? Like what, and sometimes I wonder what it is that's being done with people's time to care so much about these things. Where it's like, if I guess what I'm trying to say is you recognize that your purpose has to be in what really matters, as opposed to as what you explained, the external world.
So
It's hard. It really is difficult, as simple as it is.
it is, and I'd say one of the hardest parts is coexisting with just how damn shallow and materialistic things have become, and people have become with them.
You mentioned programming in the beginning. Do you believe that that's part of being programmed when you're young for a very
100%.
specific reason?
100%. I mean, if we're going to do this, let's do this. I'm homeschooled. I was homeschooled my whole life. I've never seen a day of public school, but I've sure as hell seen inside the buildings, and they look a lot like prisons. Okay. And y'all's programming comes out and sounds a whole lot like an echo chamber. Sounds like there are a lot of walls around it and a lot of inability to penetrate those walls or inability to imagine anything beyond them. The cow is black and it's white or it's brown. It cannot be anything else. Well, in my point of view, I look at it and go, the cow will be whatever damn color I say it will be. If you don't like it, the door swings both ways.
And
I
to be
Go ahead.
sorry, I just want to be clear because people will misinterpret it. This isn't about cows. I'm gonna say that because some
About
people
programming.
That's right. That's right. I just want to put that out there because I've seen on social media where people completely miss the point and get a whole crowd like, well, because he said this about it's not about cows.
I will say, if you're a person who thought it was about a cow, I am not speaking to you.
They don't deserve it.
No, not.
I'm sorry. I had to put that out there. Go ahead
I'm
and
not
continue. I didn't
speaking to you if you can't understand the metaphor. But that's the problem. And it isn't anybody's fault except maybe the ones who set it up that way. But it is difficult to exist as myself in a world where everybody is, I say everybody, where a majority of people are doom scrolling. And it's like, did you ever see Surrogates with Bruce Willis, where everybody's living in their house and they're living vicariously through a machine like a robot? That's what it reminds me of.
So I haven't seen that, but I've seen plenty of films with that same exact
idea.
concept.
So it's weird when you look at it, like you're all just living online. You can use a filter. You can be somebody you're not. We can have colossal and catastrophic dishonesty. We can multiply it, but what's it doing for us? Nothing but bad.
Hmm.
Because now we don't know what real is anymore. And now we've got people running around saying, oh, well, it's my personal truth. Well, what the hell is that?
There you go.
What the hell is a personal truth? I thought truth was absolute. And then, the ignorant ones will come after you. There are no absolute truth. That's what Hitler said. I know there are no absolute truths. I said truth was absolute. And absolute truths, that's us saying personal truths in a different, it's us saying it in a different way.
Hmm.
And when people say, oh, well, it's my truth. I don't know what you're talking about. Is your truth that it's all hopeless? Is your truth that you can't get any better? Is your
Yeah.
truth that, because it's still not the truth?
Hmm.
Because if you were to reprogram and you were to stop listening to all this sad ass music and watching these psychotic ass shows and toxic ass bullshit, sorry, I cursed a lot.
You're perfectly
It's
fine.
coming out. But if you would stop all that and start, I don't know, pick up YouTube and do something corny, listen to some affirmations for an hour in the morning, and you tell me that programming doesn't do something different for you. So we've got this idea. Oh, no, it's my personal truth. I just my personal truth is that my finances are bad because somebody else made them bad because I can't make enough at my job. You ever thought about getting a new skill, expanding? What have you done to fix this situation? Is it the truth? No, it's a personal truth. Then it's delusion.
Well, and there's people who haven't done anything, but will give every reason, going back to the poverty mindset, why they couldn't do that for themselves. Um, and it's very important because, you know, it's funny because I am really big into science. I love science. I think it's a phenomenal study, not to be confused with the absolute truth, but and I have shared this in my podcast numerous times, is you learn really, really quick once you get to a certain point in studies, particularly of science, whether it's electricity or matter, anything that's atomic biology, chemistry. There's about 99 to 100 elements that we've actually known. And I'm going to bring this to a scientific perspective to kind of help explain it, because what you're saying is I feel like it needs to be decoded. Because so many people are going to hear this and they're not going to feel it. And some people are going to know how to decode it. Some people aren't. But
Very true.
where the human ignorance that I say numerous times comes in, and you're helping me explain things I've been trying to explain for episodes. I think I'm on like my 54th, 53rd now. But we we're composed of the same elements of the universe, right? Now, we're matter, and what matter is the objects that takes up space. The reason why space is called space is because, well, there's no matter. Things float. All right. It is a matterless, like, I guess, vacuum, or however you can pronunciate it, and it's empty from what we currently know. Uh, from what I learned fairly recently enough, is the Apollo mission to the moon, given that it happened, was supposed to be we're going to discover what's out there. Well, then we found out that we're made of the same thing of what we already discovered. And that was the big thing. And that's why it also did become irrelevant, which Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson,
Yeah.
one of the things, sometimes I disagree with him. He needs to stay with science in many ways. But one of his explanations that I agree with is when he explains the human phenomenon of, if we can space travel, or anytime that we get used to something, no matter how amazing it is, it becomes boring. So the reason why traveling to the moon all of a sudden became not so funded and not so wow at the end of the day, which, if there was movie with Tom Hanks about one of the missions where they start to realize that America didn't care about traveling to the moon anymore. Why?
No.
Because we realized that there was no bigger, like, we weren't going to discover anything beyond us. So when people try to say I'm God, my truth matters, that is so easily contradicted. If you just look to the left or to the right, it bothers me that people want to try to develop a system that goes nothing by that. Or when you sit in a classroom that says this is the right answer for everything. Even when I went to college, if you just go to college with an open mind, if you are an open-minded individual, those things alone already contradict each other. And the moment you get a taste of that, you got to realize that you explained in the very beginning that it is very difficult to be this type of individual. You learn in that very moment that everything is set to questioning. And when you describe the whole, how you always feel like if somebody would just do a little more research, they can be as smart or smarter than me. I feel that way too. Sometimes I get what's known as imposter syndrome. And I think we all do at some time in our
We
life,
do.
right? Um, but and for some people, this is where it's open to interpretation. Some people will look at me and say, well, you just think you know it all. And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I don't. But the issue is that you don't want to admit that there are bigger things to be questioned. You may have seen it before and even been so afraid of the idea that you completely threw it to the back of your mind. But there are people who, when they see people trying to explain and understand and learn these bigger truths, it's to them, it's a know-it-all. And I feel like those people are describing other people in a way that they are to themselves.
Projection.
Reject perfect.
So
Sorry, I know I went on a mini rant
no,
there,
it's
but
good.
that was amazing. Yeah, let's talk about that rejection. Let's talk about that part of actually, I'm sorry, last bit. Let's go into this. And I
Yeah,
think this would be a perfect way to close it out. That rejection causes a lot of division in today's world.
it does.
You, Hart, are a person who understands the importance of the human quality in life, the abundance of it, the complexity of the existence, but also simplicity of it alone. And if for those of you wondering, why are we going to this with somebody who is a finance guy? Well, because this is very important as a person for somebody that's going to do any line of business. And I think that if I can have Jeff Bezos in this seat right now, it would be the same exact way. But the issue is you are not fed this information. So let's feed them this information in a very rejectifying, if that's a word, in a world that rejects this idea, this way of life, in a world that's afraid, in a world that divides itself. How do you, Hart, as a businessman, as a person who handles a very important piece of people's lives, feel and work with that?
You have to let all of that external stuff go, and you have to focus on the human. And although we could generalize it, and I could go through a bunch of clients and say, yeah, all of them had this same mentality and this same initial rejection to the idea of growing, getting better, this, that, and the other. There is no boilerplate solution. You can only solve it on a case by case basis because it's coming from somewhere different. Somebody might have had a father who spent a lot of money or put a lot of bad ideas in there. They might have had a different type of upbringing. I'm homeschooled and evangelical plantation homeschooled. So the credit cards were evil, this, that, and the other. And that's great for boomers.
Hello, Dave Ramsey.
I know that's great for boomers because they had all that money in the system. But by the time they handed it to millennials were like, oh, the dollar's not worth anything, is it? It's never going to be. Got it. Well, we'll just create something else. Bitcoin, Dogecoin, we created cryptocurrency. It's a millennial addition to the cultural problem.
It goes back to how there's always going to be many answers.
Oh, so many. We'll find them. We'll find them. But you you have to keep loving the human. That sounds cliche. It sounds mushy, whatever. I don't know what the standard is these days, but you have to look at the human like, okay, my mother got sick last year around September. She was sick for a while, but she got really sick in September. By January, she had passed away. I now can talk to clients who it's not talk to them, but I can relate to clients who are caregiving for a parent or something like that because I have this whole disgusting, terrifying, horrifying experience that now allows me to positively relate to others in a manner of love and affection and relation and humanity. That's how you get through it. You're not going to get through it by being ugly. You're not going to get through it by trying to be right. Right is only to everybody in the room. You will have a lot better option if you stand in the light of truth. Being right is just saying everybody agreed with you that was there. Right is not always correlated to the truth.
And I think it's an illusion. I think if
It
someone
is.
really cares about you, they don't make you feel like you're right all the time.
No, and because you might be wrong. And if you love somebody, you are obligated to tell them the truth. Love causes no harm to his neighbor, and thus is the fulfillment of the law. That's in Romans. So if you love someone, abstaining from the truth, omitting the truth will only cause them harm. The truth will set you free. Do you want them to be bound or do you want them to be free? And I guess it's a long monologue to how I handle that.
So in that explanation, it's very clear that you love your clients, you love your purpose. It's like you care enough
I love
about them to
humans for sure.
humans. Yeah, that's what I meant to end it.
And I love my clients. They're the most phenomenal clients in the world. I'm very blessed to have the group or the audience and the clients that I have. I hope to get more, but at the same time, there are some that aren't as disciplined as others. It's okay.
Right.
I'm going to send you another follow-up email, and if you pay me, we're good. You
Well,
know?
that's the important thing for people like you. That's where I wanted to finish my point, which I kind of lost in the middle of it, was we can come out here and we can give our positions and our opinions and our thoughts and ideas on these things. But for those who may got it confused, it's not that we're not humble human beings. In a way, I think this is the most humbled way to be, is to recognize your place and always recognize that there's an opposing side. So whether you're, and I'm going to take it here if you don't mind,
Mhm.
but whether you're gay, whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you come from a different country, whether you, whatever, if you're not a bad person that's doing harm to people, right? You understand that there is, that's just humanity. That's just humanity. And with you being the type of person that you are and working in the business that you work in, we can give our positions, we can give our different lifestyles and our experiences. Some people, like you said, your mother died, you can relate to those people. Well, I love my mom. My mom doesn't die, but you never look at me as less than a man
Right,
because I never had the experience. And we've experienced that in the
right.
military. And I've explained that is some people will look at other soldiers as less, because although, their experience was difficult, some people will say, well, their experience wasn't more difficult than mine, therefore I'm gonna judge them. As a business person, as a human being, let's it's important. As a human being, you don't do that to your clients. You don't do that as a man. Therefore, I would pronounce your business to be true, to be trustworthy, and to be one that's going to make it through all the crazy challenges that comes with it, because you are true to the people, obviously to yourself, but more importantly, to the people. And that's what I'm hoping, and that's what I think people should get out of the experience of this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. We You've got lots of choices. You could be like the cake maker in Colorado who turned away a gay couple because he didn't want to bake their cake. You can be that.
Would you still do his taxes if he let's say he moved to Alabama and he was like, I need my taxes done?
The cake maker?
Mhm.
Yeah, anybody. I'm to me, you pick a side, you're done. So you can't be picking any types of sides. I love all humans equally. I do think what he did was silly. I do think it was unnecessary. I do understand from your point of view of marriage is between a man and a woman. That was his point of view. That's great. But this is business.
Right. But as a
This is
human,
business.
you would still.
Oh, of course.
So it doesn't mean
It's
you take his side.
it is our responsibility to love and only to love. It is God's responsibility to judge. God
Oh,
knows the heart of mankind, not us.
beautiful
And
heart,
did
beautiful.
judging ever do us any favors in life?
Never.
Never.
And
But
actually, in any
loving
religious text,
does.
it never does.
Never does. But a
And
free smile and affection and washing somebody's feet and taking care of somebody, regardless of their status or their belief or whatever, that always dopamine, if you want to get down on a scientific level, makes us feel good. It makes us feel good on a moral level. It makes us also love ourselves a little bit more. I'm understanding that, okay, I can be selfless. I can do this. And I need to practice this more. I like how this feels. I like this type of vibe in my life. But if you're judging, that will never be you. That will never be you. You do away with that. Let that. But the moment that you do, the moment that you say you're not going to judge anybody anymore, you say, okay, we're back to karma and we're back to being our own priest and we're back to it being between us and God. And I know the Christians struggle with this one, but if they would just let it go, if they'd let everybody else's problems go, they would be a lot more lighter on a daily basis. Let God deal with that which is God's domain, and you deal with that which is yours. And guess what? Humans are smart, but we are not that smart. Okay.
Right,
So
right.
us making judgment calls, assuming we're always wrong, we're always making an ass out of ourselves. So it'd be a lot better just to love and let go.
Well, and that's the opposite is the way people are programmed. So always believe
It's
that there's
correct.
a right or wrong side, and now you see all
You're
of these things.
obligated to make a judgment call.
Yes, yes,
It's
exactly. And
ridiculous.
it hurts because I see and the more I go up, the more I see well-educated individuals. I'm talking doctors with published papers. I mean, I work hand in hand with them, but who sit there and say, I hate Haitians, but I love my people, or from Africa. I was like, well, have you been? No. And I'm like, wait a minute. But it's stuff like that where I'm just like, the backhanded love and hate. And then you see, if you really analyze, you start to realize how trapped they really are in life. And then when you look at if you take a step back and actually look at what the impact of their work has been, well, there isn't any. And you're like, okay, this is a thing. So then you start to question what defines the quality of a business owner, of a CEO, of a doctor, of a whatever. Well, simply, again, it's complex, but simply it boils down to, well, how are you as a person? Do you feel like you're almighty God? Do you feel like, your opinion trumps everybody else's, which is huge in the Western culture, by the way? Um, do you feel like, well, whatever, all the things we talked about? And, to me, and I think for most people, they just don't know it yet. But if you trust somebody with important parts of your life, those are the type of people that you should be looking for. But it's so hard. Not the people I describe, but I mean the type of people who are like obviously you or what I feel like I'm becoming. Um, is that when you want to judge what the quality of somebody's work is going to be, the good quality people aren't always pretty. There's no what you
Right.
put out there is, so I'm sorry, but somebody that you should trust should be somebody that recognizes humans as humans. A lot of people get mad. Why aren't they taking a side? Well, the reason why I would trust you is because you don't take a side and you recognize because you help my enemy, I wouldn't feel like I can't trust you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't think I could have said that better.
Do you see how much that took for me to say before it finally came out
I
as it
get it. No, I get it though.
so many words to finally get to the main point. But Hart, first of all, I seriously appreciate you for coming on.
Of course, it's been fun.
I know, and people know now, that what you're doing is phenomenal. It works. It's great. And I don't think you understand how much it means to me that you, given the position that you're in, can come out here and speak so truthfully, because that's what we need. They're out there, but there's so few.
They're
And
so scared to say it.
yeah, 100%. And if you live in the area and you need your taxes done, for the love of God, you have somebody that you can trust right here, and somebody who's not advertising but is fully saying. First of all, Hart, we can say this right now: you're not paying me to put an advertisement out on this podcast.
No,
Correct. I am
no.
saying this out of the purity of my heart and personal experience. Is that he does the job well, correctly, and it's somebody that you can trust. And honestly, what I also appreciate is that, and it's weird because I'm not a tax person, maybe not yet. But you've helped me learn if I had a question, you never didn't answer it for me. You
That's
never said, "Hey, you're an IT guy or you're a foreign military sales guy. Don't even worry about it." If I ever had a question, you answer it.
right.
That's amazing, and that's a practice that people believe in corporate America shouldn't be normal just because it doesn't happen. No, that is 100% a thing, and it could
Yeah.
be a thing. So thank you for everything. Well, that is a long closure, but one of my favorite concluding questions is this: uh, if you could give the younger you any advice in the world, what would it be?
I actually saw that in the notes. My answer can't be like anybody else's, so it's going to be this. I wouldn't, because I'm exceptionally happy in the now, and to play any games with the past might change that. Uh, I'm a little bit like in The Alchemist. I don't think I'm going to say it right. It's either maktub or something of that nature. It's Arabic for "it is written, as it is written, as it shall be." I cannot. If you offered it to me, I wouldn't go back and say a damn thing to him because uh, I feel my mission too divine, and to mess with it would be the greatest sin, I think.
Wow.
That would be my opinion. I've been asked that question before. I couldn't, because to take away from everything that he's been through might make me either weaker or more of a villain, or I can't risk it. Maybe I'm living too much in the now for that type of question. I'm not
Right.
sure. Did I stump you?
I think so. Oh,
Oh,
it was a. I'll tell you what happened because we talked about this. When you said that, it made me think about the moments that I actually did have that thought, and I feel like maybe I was too afraid to admit that maybe it is okay. Maybe there's no crazy past chaos that I have to try to organize, and I should be thankful for, where I've ended up. But it's funny how I look at what I have, right, or what I've been able to accomplish, given where I come from, which I don't really talk much about, because again, in my head, it's not the worst thing in the world, so why even bother? Um, but I think about that a lot, and I think about okay, yeah, you did stump me because you made me go through like a range of thoughts because everybody, like I have people, like I know an individual who oh gosh, wow. I'm just gonna say this as a whole, I don't experience that a lot. Is a lot of everybody wants to have the I had it so hard, the past, blah blah. Like everybody, and this is the first time I've heard another person say it was important for where I am today. And to me, for somebody to be able to say that is beyond normal, beyond what's
it
normal.
is, but it is important for who we are today. If I go back there and tell them, hey, don't care about what people think, or hey, when mom and dad are fighting, it's not really about you, it's going to make me a weaker individual. It's going to make me less defiant. It might have the COVID shot in my arm by now. Like, I don't want to go back there and change that. I want to be exactly who I am. And if I fail in the now to produce growth, then that's on the now me.
I'm
There
not
you
ruining that point.
go.
I'm not.
There you
You
go.
see, that's yours. That was freaking fantastic. And Hart, I seriously appreciate you coming on.
This is
Uh,
awesome.
you listen. What you guys don't know, I'm not going to put your business out there, but Hart Financial Solutions, it's not done. Okay, this is really as much as you've been doing this for 7 or 8 years now, almost a decade, as we've mentioned earlier. You've really just begun.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be able to see this experience that you're going through. Uh, but if people can take a lot of stereotypes in today's world and think, oh, he's older or he's been doing it for a while, whatever. Some people would even say, if you don't get it done, I've seen this, is people drive themselves crazy if they don't have after being in the gym for a year, if they're not bumsteing or whatever.
Right.
No, heart is only beginning. No matter what you may interpret or believe or have some stereotype to put him by. And I look forward to seeing that growth. And I think, man, you really sent my mind for a spiral
It's
as you're able to.
good. It's
Uh,
good.
what I'm trying to conclude is, dude, I'm probably gonna have to cut that out. I really did get stomped.
It's good.
Oh, dude, that was awesome. Holy cow.
It is the truth, though.
That was intense.
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm feeling that because I'm just like, yeah, that
Use this
was
as a blooper
intense.
reel, but it is. I couldn't. If you sent me back to my younger self, I'd look at him and be like, I'm going back. Cool. I got nothing for you. Nothing.
Dude, that's so
Nothing.
powerful. That is
You
so
turned out to
powerful.
be amazing. Just let it ride. Let
That's
it ride.
intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even I couldn't put that out there on the podcast. Like that is intense. Give me 1 second.
Talk. I need another drink.
I just want to do. I'm gonna give it the corny ending. Be like, ladies and gentlemen, Oh, that concludes this episode. Thank you
So,
so much. If you ever reach out, and I'll put the link to your. Well, are you gonna have a website under Centrics or?
and we're building a Hart Financial one, but it will be after Centrics most likely.
Okay, what can I give a link to then? What about you?
Nothing really. We'll just close it out.
All right, I got you.
Yeah. We'll do it with links later.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of the ETVT podcast. Thank you so much, Hart. That was really action packed. We had business, we had, I would say, spiritual, we had everything that this podcast stands for. I mean, amazing perceptions. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that. If you would like to learn more about Hart, go ahead and follow him on Instagram.
Yep.
He's always open. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, ETVT out.